welcome to another episode of the UNIBEN Alumni Series. As you know, this is a show where we interact, we have conversations with alumni of the great University of Benin. And on today's episode, we have a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, is Dr. Wilson Akhiwu. Thank you, Dr. Wilson Akhiwu, for joining us today, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Akhiwu holds a MBBS from the University of Benin, from our own College of Medical Sciences, University of Benin. And he retired as Assistant Inspector General of the Nigerian Police. Let's start from your venture into the University of Benin. Why did you choose to study medicine at the University of Benin? What was the motivating factor for you to study medicine at the University of Benin?
Well, I guess it was destined to be. From childhood, I actually wanted to read pharmacy.
Okay.
And at that time, it was concessional entrance exams. So I put in for pharmacy in other schools, Unilag, UI, IFE, Nsukka, and so on. By the way, I grew up in Nsukka in the east. My father worked in the university there, but he specifically did not want me to school in Nsukka. So he was always fighting against me schooling in Nsukka. So when I took my form with pharmacy for UNIBEN to one Professor Mamegbe, who was also a lecturer in vet medicine in UNN, to sign as one of my referees, he looked at my WAEC results and said, "No, you should read medicine, not pharmacy." I told him, "But it's pharmacy I want to read." He said, "No, you should read medicine. Cancel the pharmacy you put in there and put pharmacy."
And put medicine.
And put medicine. Thank you. He said, but I said, if I cancel it, it will not be neat. He just took his pen and chalked the thing out by himself and changed it to medicine by himself, signed, and gave it to me. Well, I took it. I said, no matter what happens, I still have IFE and others. I only wanted IFE because pharmacy in IFE at that time was 4 years.
Okay.
And I did get all the admissions at that time. So I went to IFE.
Okay.
But 2 months into IFE, I was still playing because that was my first freedom from my parents. I was still driving around, playing. And the day I strolled into class, they asked me, "Have you seen the timetable?" I said, "Which timetable?" They said, "The exam timetable." That was around October. I just packed my things and came to UNIBEN, where my admission was already waiting for me. That's how I ended up in medicine. But I have no regrets whatsoever. It has been a good profession.
That's interesting to hear. So your time in UNIBEN as a medical student, how was it like? What were the wonderful moments, the high and low of your schooling?
UNIBEN was the most sought after university at that time. UNIBEN had this unique feature of you study very hard, but you also play very hard. The social life was fantastic. The academic life too was fantastic. So it's no wonder that UNIBEN products are doing so well all over the world. Some of the best doctors in the United States of America are UNIBEN products. Some of the best in UK are UNIBEN products. It is the same all over the world. Even in Nigeria too, the UNIBEN products are doing very, very, very well in different establishments. At a time, UNIBEN product also headed the DSS medicals. Almost at the same time that I was heading the police medicals, the DSS medicals was headed by a UNIBEN lady. In different aspects of life, even in other courses, other professions, UNIBEN has been great, very great. So we have a very good foundation, and we can stand on our own, no matter the circumstance. So that is part of the background that is unique to UNIBEN. And that is why I think everybody wants to come to UNIBEN.
Yeah, you're already. I think you're already intruding into the next question I had to ask, because I wanted to ask, what did you learn from UNIBEN? Because now you're already outside the certification, definitely outside the four walls of the classroom. The other attributes I believe you learned from the institution. What are those?
Yes, you see, if you want to be streetwise, you have to come to UNIBEN. If you come to UNIBEN, you will be streetwise in all aspects. And that is why when my son wanted to go to school, I insisted he goes to UNIBEN too. So my son also read medicine in UNIBEN, and he keeps thanking me every day. He's in US now practicing. He keeps thanking me every day for that background that UNIBEN gave him. You are streetwise. You can fit in anywhere. You can discuss any topic anywhere. How we acquire that in UNIBEN, I don't know. You do all types of sports in UNIBEN. You play football, you play indoor games, drafts, you can relax anywhere and talk with anybody. You can see the head of state now, and you will flow with him as if you are mates. UNIBEN gives you that background. No wonder UNIBEN people can walk anywhere in the world.
I quite agree with that, sir. Let's talk about your time with the Nigerian police force. Medicine is a very lucrative course. Studying medicine, definitely, you had a path, you had somewhere you were heading to after the medical school. And for the Nigerian police force, what we have gathered, unofficially though, that most people recruited into the Nigerian police force, most people, not everyone, are people that do not, maybe they've searched for jobs somewhere else and they did not get. Police is like a second option for them to do. But for you, definitely there were a lot of opportunities in your field, but you chose to join the Nigerian police force. What was the reason for that, sir?
Well, let me first correct the impression that most people do not really want to join the police force. It's not very correct.
Okay.
There is the officer corps in the police. The officers are perfect gentlemen. At least most of the officers are perfect gentlemen. The police, the Nigerian public talk about are the lower ranks who are found on the roadblocks and so on. Unfortunately, those ones are also like other Nigerians. You will agree with me that
but most times these are the image makers, if I will call them, of the Nigerian police. Because those are the people we civilians we engage with on a day-to-day most times.
Well, the same civilians, Nigerian civilians who engage with these people, when they find themselves in the police, they are not any better. It's a Nigerian thing, we must all agree. It's a Nigerian thing. The officer cadre in the police is a very fine cadre. they respect themselves a lot. And so you hardly find the officers misbehaving. But for why I joined the police, well, in my time in UNIBEN, the police had a bursary scheme. They wanted to attract brilliant people into the police. And so the police, the army, the other armed forces had a similar scheme, and the police also established their own. But instead of recruiting us directly into the police, they gave bursary, but we signed a bond with them. So I received financial help from the police for 3 years, and I was bonded to them. So when I finished, I joined them. But then it was not a mistake at all, because I already was watching this television series at that time, Quincy. Quincy was a doctor who was helping the police to solve crimes. And I had that idea behind my head that I would go help police to solve crimes. And I did quite a lot of that. And I am still doing that up to this moment. So it is from within the police that I came back to the University of Benin Teaching Hospital to do a residency program in pathology. And police sent me to different countries for training in crime investigations and scientific policing generally. So all that helps me to contribute in solving a number of crimes in Nigeria.
Thank you for your work, sir. You spent over 3 decades with the Nigerian police. Yes. What day can you look back and say this was the longest day, this was the hardest day of being a police? Or what period, what time?
Well, there are a number of there were a number of challenges in the police.
Yeah.
Like there was, I spent a total of 34 years and 3 months in the police. I had to retire when I hit the age of 60, and that coincided with when I had worked for 34 years and 3 months in the police. Yeah, a number of issues will always come up for that length of time. But I remember vividly when I was asked to go to Benin to help out with an autopsy. I was inside the autopsy room, still working with my colleagues, other pathologists, and a phone call came, and they said the Inspector General wanted to see me now. And I explained that, but I am in Benin. They asked me to come to Benin for a particular case. They said, no, he wants to see you now. So we had to finish the autopsy at about 4:30. I rushed to pack my things and headed back to Abuja straight away. I got to Abuja about 7 a.m. the next morning, and by 8 a.m., I was in the Inspector General's office. So there was no sleep, there was nothing. And I had to drive myself because at that time, I think I didn't come, I flew into Benin and I was supposed to fly back 2 days or 3 days after that particular day I went back. So it was a very harrowing period. It was and the risk and everything on the road.
Okay. Was it like an emergency?
Yes, there was another emergency, and I had to attend to it too.
So there's this popular saying when it comes to policing all over the world. that police is your friend. But in our case in Nigeria, that is not always the case, as we have earlier stated. There's this distrust between the police and the citizens. What do you think? Where did we get it wrong? And what can we do going forward to correct this distrust? So,
The people we recruit into the police are Nigerians. The people we recruit into the police are Nigerians. To get the police right, you have to get Nigeria right. And mind you, recent studies have shown that the police is not even the most corrupt organization in Nigeria right now. You know,
okay.
I'm sure you are privy to that report. It's in the public space. The
Okay.
police is not the most corrupt organization in Nigeria right now. So we just have to get Nigeria right. It makes no sense that people are picking only on the police, only on the police. And come to think of it, uh, when uh, when I was in the police, what was the salary of a commissioner of police? A commissioner of police was earning 250,000 every month. Every month. When you pay a commissioner of police 250,000 a month, and you pay a major general about 1.5 million a month, it makes no sense. You the EFCC director is normally a police officer under the Inspector General of Police. In my time, the EFCC director was earning about 1.5 million every month, whereas the Inspector General of Police was earning about 700,000 a month. So these are some of the issues that we have to correct. Right now, we have an approval right now for the judiciary to have a 300% increase in their salaries. What have you done for the police? The average policeman still is wallowing in his very small salary, and he sees other people, especially NNPC staff, who he's schooled with, earning some mega salary. When I retired, I know how much I got as a gratuity after 34 years of service as a medical doctor and uh, and rising to the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police. I also know how much my friends who were managers in NNPC got as gratuity. Whereas one is getting about 150 million naira as gratuity, the other is getting about 6 million naira as gratuity. You see, the gap is just too much. It is too much. So if we want things to be done right, these are areas we must look at. It's not enough for us to sit back and say, oh, the police is corrupt, the police is this and that. In the police stations, how much do you give the police stations to run their affairs? In my time, each police division was getting about 30,000 naira in a quarter. A quarter is 3 months.
30,000 naira.
Excuse me.
30,000
So,
naira for
yes,
a
30,000 naira.
quarter.
In my time, whether it has improved now, I don't know, but I doubt. So, but policemen cannot talk about all these things. They cannot talk. I can talk now because I am out of the system. Even in the medicals, how much were we getting until national insurance, national health insurance scheme came up, it was nothing, virtually nothing. So the national health insurance scheme has actually helped the medical system in the police a lot. So the money for running medical things in the police now comes from the national health insurance scheme, not the police itself. So the government has to do a lot more for the police before the citizens will have the justification to be blaming the police for any wrong things that they are doing.
You made mention of funding, because some of the issues you have raised is funding for the police establishments in different areas. Would you subscribe to state policing? Because this is a matter that has been on the table for quite some time in the country. That subnationals, like the states in our case, should be allowed to have their own police force, and so they can properly fund it, and it will be more effective according to those proposing it. Because do you think it will be good for us as a country? Do you think we are ripe enough, which is the other argument, to have state police?
There are pros and cons for decentralizing the police. There are the good aspects, there are the bad aspects. Don't forget that Nigeria is quite unique. If you decentralize the police and you allow our governors to control the police, do you think there will be any opposition in the states?
But we can also say that most times the federal government, who are who owns, if I can use that word, the police for now, they use it for their own benefits as well.
And most times it's not so much as if you allow the state governors to control it, except there are very strict checks and balances. We have to first work out very strict checks and balances so that the subnationals will not abuse the powers they will now acquire. But yes, I agree that the police should be controlled to some extent by the governors, because they are the chief security officers of their states. They should have some amount of control over them, at least in fighting crimes. But the propensity for abuse, we should not overlook it at all. We should not overlook it. So it's something we have to really brainstorm about.
Okay, sir. Personally, sir, what would you say was the most rewarding part of you being in law enforcement?
Oh, the satisfaction I got from helping to solve cases. The satisfaction, you cannot measure that. If I still go to some parts of Nigeria, especially at those states, and people see me and say, "Oh, you are that police doctor that helped us solve so problem." You see, it gives you some joy within. Gives you some joy. When I'm sure you remember the case of the NMPC manager who was murdered by a pastor in connivance with the man's wife some years back. And,
in Benin City?
In Benin, yes. And the body was set on fire. So the first policeman who came thought that the man could not escape from his car when the car caught fire. But at autopsy, everything changed. because we saw where he was stabbed and saw how his heart was torn in two different places by something that looked like a dagger. And we told the police. That changed the whole investigation.
Yeah.
And that led to the arrest of the man's wife and their pastor, who at that time had already taken the man's new car and was repenting it and all that. The man was convicted, and the conviction was the man and the wife initially were convicted, but on technical grounds, the wife was freed by the Supreme Court. On technical grounds, there was a little mistake in technicality, and they hung on to that. They were freed by the Supreme Court, but the man himself, his death sentence was confirmed by the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir. Lastly, our country, Nigeria, is currently battling banditry, kidnapping. This is a normal. It has become normal in our country today. What advice will you be giving to your former colleagues on ways to mitigate this security challenge?
I think the fighting crime is a collaborative thing between the people and the law enforcement agencies. When the people do not come up with information, you may find it very difficult to fight crime. So in this banditry issue, we need a lot of collaboration between the people and the law enforcement. But then the law enforcement needs the appropriate facilities. I don't know how many trackers we have now in the police. In my time, there was one, just one, domiciled in the force headquarters. And due to the personal efforts of the then Inspector General Solomon Arase, due to his personal efforts. And this is something that we can have in all states police commands. And these are the areas the governors should come to help. I don't know how expensive it is, but there's no reason why Edo State, for example, cannot have a tracker. Sokoto State cannot have a tracker. These people make calls amongst themselves and to families of victims.
Yeah.
So we can actually track all those things and deal with them. But the bandits are also very well armed. So I don't think the police alone can handle them. That is where the military actually has been doing a very great job. So many of them, it is only by air that you can catch them, that you can deal with them. So you need to bomb them out and all that. But for places like Edo, where the thing is not so severe as you find in the Northwest, equipping the police very well can stop it.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a great time having this conversation with you. Really appreciate you for taking time to be part of this show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you to UNIBEN for the foundation they gave me and members of my family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I've been speaking to Dr. Wilson Akhiwu, a retired Assistant Inspector General Police. He holds an MBBS from the College of Political Sciences, University of Benin. Continue to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye for now.